All right, so the West African Monetary Institute set to host a capacity building sensitization program on West African capital markets integration as a phase 2 project, ideally connecting capital markets in the West African region. For more now, Dr. Abdulrasheed Zubair, project manager, West Africa Capital Market Integration Project, joins me from our Abuja studio. Great to have you. Good evening.
Good evening.
So I know the West Africa Capital Market Integration is in phase 2, at this time. Paint a picture of what phase 2, looks like.
Thank you very much. The phase 2 program is centered on the strengthening of capital market data dissemination and expanding of the capital markets integration in the West African sub-region. So the phase 1 has already been done, which is the sponsored access. And now in this phase 2, we centered towards the qualified West African broker, whereby a broker in the home country can trade securities of the countries and other countries' securities while in his own country. For example, a Nigerian broker can be in his own country and trade the securities of Ghanaian securities in Nigeria. The same thing also, somebody in Cape Verde can also trade securities of Abidjan capital market. So that is the idea of the phase 2. So usually in this phase 2, we have 3 different components. We have the harmonization of the capital market rules, because as you know, we have 4 different stock exchanges that comprises of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the Ghana Stock Exchange, the Cape Verde, and also the Abidjan, which is BRBM. So these 4 stock exchanges, they have different rules. So in November, December 2021, we had a harmonization exercise whereby all the rules were harmonized, because that's the first thing we're supposed to do, to have a seamless rules whereby the operationalization of these securities dealing can be so easy and can be so straightforward. So that is where we are. But now what we want to do, part of the second aspect, is the capacity building. Capacity building is one of the segments of this phase 2, whereby the brokers, the dealers, and all the stakeholders will be bring into the picture of these new capital market rules. They will have to be abreast with these new rules for them to be able to trade. And then the qualified West African broker need to have a license for him to trade while from his own country to trade the securities of other countries. The other segment of this phase 2 is the issue of data and database and website. We're going to create a kind of a database and website for these 4 West African capital markets. The plan is on foot. We already secured the consultant, and the consultant has already commenced working on that. We are almost done with that. Hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll have a brand new website for WACMI, West African Capital Market Integration. So also, aside from that, the last phase of this phase 2 is the issue of the need assessment, because some countries in this West African zone are still yet to have active stock exchanges, like, for example, the Guinea, the Liberia, the Australian, and the Gambia. So we are doing a roadmap study to have a kind of a framework for establishing of the capital market in this particular region, in these countries without a stock exchange. So by the time we have this on board, that means we have integrated capital market in the WAM zone and also in the ECOWAS.
All right, we'll definitely be looking forward to that, because it is interesting, being able to buy stocks, from other countries. But we'll take a break now. I still have with me Dr. Abdulrasheed Zubair, project manager, West Africa Capital Market Integration Project, and we're talking about trading with other African countries, talking about stocks. We'll continue the conversation right after this break. This is Capital Market live on Channels Television. Welcome back to watching Capital Market live on Channels Television. We're talking about connecting capital markets in West Africa right now. I have with me Dr. Abdulrasheed Zubair, project manager, West Africa Capital Market Integration Project. Thank you for staying on.
Thank you.
So tell me, what role will the Central Securities Clearing System, play, once Nigerians are able to buy stocks in other West African countries? How would ownership of a foreign stock, be captured? Let's say I buy, a stock in, I say, the Ghana exchange. How would my ownership, be captured?
Yes, thank you very much. All those rules have been stated. The ownership will be like, it will be like a foreign ownership, but it will be recorded as a kind of an inflow into that particular market. So it will be recorded in the book of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, but it will be owned by somebody who is an expatriate. So it's like a kind of an inflow into that particular market, but not domestic inflow, but rather outside inflow. So it will be like a double book balancing, inflow and outflow. From the other side, they record it as outflow, and in this market, we record it like an inflow.
All right, so definitely, it's how would this, integration impact, foreign participation in most of this West African capital market once it kicks off?
Yes, thank you very much. I think that is one of the major ideas of this capital market integration, because the issue is that we want the visibility of this market outside the region. And as you know, nowadays, most of these developed countries' investors, they are looking for a market where they will invest, especially for the African market, where there's a population. At the same time, also, the return is a good. So because of that, this integration will make the market to become so visible. Like I told you, we are trying to strengthen the capital market data dissemination through having a kind of a website where all these firms, all these markets will come together, and the website will be visible to the globe, to the whole world. So the investors can be able, at a fingertip, to have a look at what is happening in this market. The same thing also, the investors will be attracted, because sometimes one of the issues that try to prevent investors from coming to a particular country is because of the risks. Political and economic instability, we know that is one of the major issues. So, but having an integrated market, it will make them to like a kind of disaggregate their risks. The risk exposure will not be there, because they can be able to move from this country to another country in case of any perception of a risk. So one aspect of this project is to have more participation of also foreign investors, because as more foreign investors participate, we'll have more capital. The market will be more liquid, and also the countries will have more capital to invest, and the economic expansion will come. Perhaps it will also indirectly impact on the foreign reserve of the countries, because when they come from outside the region, it will impact in terms of the foreign reserve increment, and that will allow the central bank or any monetary authority to leverage on that to stabilize the exchange rate, which is one of the focal problems we are having now.
And what's the plan, to educate investors, in these parts now? Because you're going into another, market in another country. You don't really know about the stocks there. What's the plan to, make sure investors are able to make informed decisions, before investing in a stock in another country?
Yes, that's a good one. That's true. Of course, because we have to be careful with the kind of the investment that you guide investors to invest in. Definitely, we have this website, and then this Tadashi is not only going to be here in Lagos on 11 and 12, but rather it's going to cut across all the jurisdictions. There will be another one coming in Accra on 11th to 18th of July. In Accra, whereby the investors and the stockbrokers and all the stakeholders will be there in Accra to be sensitized on this harmonization of the capital market rules. There will also be another one that is coming up on 25th and 26th of July in Cape Verde. That one also, all the Cape Verdeans will be there, the stakeholders, and they will be sensitized. And the last one coming up in the Abidjan on 8th to 9th of August, same year. 2023. So in general, most of these investors, stakeholders, and all alike will be abreast with the new market rules. And also aside that, we have a common website. That's one of the importance of this common website, whereby all the performance indicators and all the capital market capitalization, all share index, the returns, and all the kind of indices will be uploaded into the site of the WACME. where all the 4 markets will have their input there. So for an investor in Nigeria, for him to make an informed decision of investing in Abidjan, or an investor in Cape Verde, for him to make a kind of informed decision of investing in Accra, he will have to look at that kind of website, and that will inform him very well.
And, looking at our capital market right here in Nigeria, do you think investors from, other African countries would be interested, in buying stocks right here in Nigeria's capital market?
Yeah, sure. We can see that because, like I said, because look at the issue of the return, they will look at the stability, they will look at the issue of the return, and that is some of the major issues that will inform their decision of trying to invest here. So there are so many investors perhaps that may definitely invest in Nigeria. Likewise, also Nigerians will invest in the other countries. So there is that opportunity of having more investors coming into Nigerian market, and the market will be more liquid. I bet you there will be not only necessarily from within the West African zone, but also from outside the country, that is from outside the zone, because that is even the major one that we are even targeting. We are targeting as most of these foreign investors to come in. So definitely it will make the market more liquid, and also it will also enhance the capital access in the country.
And in your view, what impact would the integration have on, economies in West Africa? And is there any plan to integrate, other parts of Africa?
Yes, thank you. Yes, definitely this integration, if it's done properly, and I mean, if it's as we are implementing, West Africa Monetary Institute, WAMI, is the implementing agency of this project, while the African Development Bank is a financier, or they administered it. The fund came from the West Capital Market Development Fund, from Ledenberg and Swiss. So these 2 countries, it's come from the Netherlands and Luxembourg, sorry. So these are the 2 countries that form this Capital Market Development Fund. So as I said, definitely with time, after we integrate this particular region, there will be more integration in the other regions, like the Asia, they are doing their own in the Central Cameroon. That is in the Cameroon, they have another one for the Central Africa. The Eastern Africa, there's also another African project they call Africa Linkage Project, which is trying to link the whole African continent. But the benefits that will accrue from this project is that if the project successfully is conducted, and if the market is attracted with this project, all the countries will benefit, because there will be more inflow of foreign exchange. Like I said before, if there is more inflow of foreign exchange from the investors because of the market is here in Africa, at the same time also, most of these countries in Africa nowadays, they are relaxing their policies for the capital inflow, where the market is more friendly for the investors. So definitely it will increase the foreign exchange accretion, and that will enhance the reserve of these countries. Having more reserve will result in kind of stability of the foreign exchange, because you will need to have a lot of supply of the forex for you to be able to have stability of the foreign exchange. And looking at most of these countries that are in this region, usually there is a kind of a depreciation that is happening now. Look at what is happening to Naira, look at what is happening to CD, and most of these countries' currencies. So definitely by the time we have more investors into this kind of investment into the capital market, it will not only definitely stay in the capital market, but spillover effect. There will be spillover effect in different segments of the economy. At the same time also, like we know that we need a lot of capital projects, that we need funding. So this will allow more funding into the economy that will go not necessarily into the portfolio investment, but it will go into the real sector. So at the end, it's a kind of a win-win for the economies of this West African capital zone, as long as this project is concerned.
All right, definitely we'll be definitely looking out for that, and that'll be really interesting, being able to buy stocks, from other, West African countries around. Everyone's definitely looking forward to that. And I hope we can actually do that on our mobile phones, at some point, once it kicks off. Thank you so much, Dr. Abdul Rashid Zubair, Project Manager, West Africa Capital Market Integration Project. It was great having you today.
Thank you very much.